Hello everyone! In the previous video, we saw that a flat rate service corresponds to a performance obligation on the provider's side, but that the provider is not responsible for everything. The client must also respect his commitments and provide the means for his partner to successfully carry out his mission. In other words, a flat rate service isn't signing a check and will meet at the project's end. It is actually the opposite. There must be a precise framework and constant and regular support for service providers. Upstream of the project, this translates into a very precise description of the organization, the client context and objectives, a very precise specifications document integrating operational, functional, technical, organizational, regulatory, governance aspects, a precise description of the expected deliverables, activity and performance indicators, a matrix of roles and responsibilities of the various project stakeholders, a simple and reactive validation and decision-making process, anticipation of communication and change management activities, a response to any information request addressed by the provider, not forgetting the identification of a sponsor for the most important projects. During the performance, it's important to respect and adapt, if needed, the predefined governance instances for better project monitoring and the validation and decision-making process. Even though the implementation of this type of contract requires significant preparation, it is not without risk. A rigorous selection process led by the purchasing department will certainly reduce operational, functional, financial, and technical risks, but it will never be able to completely eliminate them. In a lump sum contract, the buyer must transcend their role as a mere buyer and become a contract lover to transform into a negotiator controller, a reference person on the project that both parties can call upon as needed for guidance and support in order to ensure the successful execution of the project. You understood buyer's involvement is not over upon signing of the contract, far from it. It is always more risky to establish a flat rate service with a provider that has been chosen for the first time. Even if the specifications are precise, he does not know the client well enough in terms of procedure, regulatory context, its operation, and vice versa. From the signing of the contract, the adventure begins, and no one is immune to obstacles, unforeseen events, miscommunications. From now on, depending on project stakes, service provider becomes more or less a strategic partner of client. To illustrate, there are numerous scenarios that can potentially arise when a project does not unfold according to plan. In scenario number 1, the client did not fulfill his commitments towards the partner. In other terms, he didn't provide him with all the means required to accomplish his goals. In this case, it is necessary to analyze the new context and renegotiate the contractual conditions. The partner who is not responsible for this situation may request additional invoicing and/or propose a new schedule in order to achieve the objectives of their mission. It should be noted that in this context, even if the client obtains a justification for the additional cost, the purchasing department will not have the same bargaining power as during the bidding process. Scenario 2. The client has fulfilled his commitments towards the partner, but the latter is having difficulties in fulfilling his mission within the agreed deadlines. This can be a question of lack of expertise, inability to deliver a specific functionality or solution, failure to meet deadlines, or all of the aforementioned reasons. An accurate analysis and understanding of the internal context of the various responsibilities and the external environment will allow you to choose and implement the best strategy, which may include, among other things, terminating the contract, including the application of penalties and transferring activities to a new partner if you are convinced of their ability. Attention! We must not underestimate the impact of cost and timing of reversibility and transition. This can also be the renegotiation of the initial contract with a review of the scope of activities, priorities, amount, roles and responsibilities, etc., which corresponds more to a strategy of collaboration and support for the partner in place. This choice could be motivated by a low maturity of the market regarding the activity or technology in question, by the realization that the customer's needs are very different from the market standards, or because the operational and financial risks are much higher than in the case of a complete termination of the contract. Scenario number 3. Neither party has fully honored its commitments and obligations. In this case, I often see the client trying to blame the partner for not achieving the objectives by mentioning, for example, their failures and their obligation to deliver results. Obviously, this cannot work because the partner will also share the client's shortcomings. Prior to making a decision regarding the future of the partnership, the initial step is to neutrally and objectively analyze the malfunctions of the project. This objectivity is not easy to achieve, hence the need sometimes to involve an external person in the project who can be a consultant, an experienced buyer who will help ask the right questions and who can take the lead during this delicate phase. This awareness will then allow the implementation of an action and improvement plan, regardless of the strategy that could be the termination and transfer of the contract to our partner or the partial or total maintenance of the current partner. The challenge in this particular scenario is to locate an external party to the project that is both impartial and reliable enough to thoroughly analyze the situation. Whatever the scenario mentioned above, you will enter into a negotiation phase with the existing partner. It is very important to involve the buyer and the lawyer as soon as possible at a minimum, and to have a good grasp of internal and external communication. In some cases, the client or partner wishes to change their mode of intervention and switch to a delegation of skills because it is ultimately more suitable for the context. In this scenario, do not forget to renegotiate, among other factors, the daily rates by requesting the elimination of the contingency that was originally included in the fixed price service agreement. Even with rigorous preparation, it is illusory to believe that the implementation of a project is a smooth sailing without obstacles, without difficulties, without unforeseen events. Can we really call it a project? It is the ability to step back, to identify obstacles, to overcome them, to mobilize the forces at work, to maintain constructive collaboration, to find innovative solutions which will reveal all the project stakeholders and which will allow true capitalization. To conclude, I recall a quote from Albert Einstein that is relevant to our topic. A problem without a solution is a problem that is poorly posed. I hope you like this short feedback. If you have any questions or feedback, I'd appreciate it if you could share them with me beforehand. Thanks for listening and see you soon on my upcoming videos.
Next.